Okay, well, good Friday morning, New York Jet fans and NFL fans. It is January 10th, 2025, 7:31 a.m., and you are watching the takeoff. My name is Alex. I know I'm back in the jet room, the family room here. It is bitterly cold out there, so I'm going to do this video, probably some future videos from in here until I can get out there and walk and it's not, freezing and I'm able to hold the camera and whatnot. So our season's come to an end. I know a lot of people thought it came to an end probably by Halloween, um, but officially came to an end Sunday with a win over the Dolphins at home, where we saw Aaron Rodgers not only surpass 500 touchdown passes in his career, he got to 503, throwing 4 touchdown passes and 1 INT in that game. A game where the Jet defense, I believe, had 4 turnovers in that game. Um, Obviously, Tua did not play for Miami. And Miami did have something to play for as the game started. A Miami win coupled with the Denver Bronco loss would have got them into the playoffs. Denver played the junior varsity Kansas City Chiefs, if you want to call it that. They sat everybody really, and Denver was able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs very handily. And as that score was being posted on the MetLife Stadium scoreboard, because the games were played at the same time, you could see Miami kind of pulled back and pulled back and pulled back, not ever really being competitive in this game. Also, after the game, you usually say the Jets have a lot to say. Tyreek Hill kind of said he's getting off of Miami. He wants to get out of that team and move on. So the AFC East really, I mean, with New England firing Mayo, their coach, right after the game. Um, and then you have the Jets and what they're going through, and you have Miami now with this kind of turmoil. You don't know Tua's future. The Buffalo Bills are just right there, sitting on top like the Patriots were a few years back in their heyday. So, quickly snapshot the Jet season. Back in August, they were favored to at least make the playoffs. Some had them winning the AFC East. Some had them, and when I say them, I say the experts and the fans. Some had them making a real run to the AFC Championship game and possibly beating a team like Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore. Some had them match up with the Lions in the Super Bowl, which the Lions, a great story this year. They are the NFC Jets, that I call them, and I'm rooting for them. And I'm also rooting for Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings and McCown, Josh McCown. So the Jets are kind of on the upswing. You have Rodgers coming back after a full year of rehab and whatnot. And I can remember sitting down before the Monday night game started, and I texted my cousins in the group chat and my buddies, and I said, "All right, prediction." And the first thing was I gave the lowest win prediction. I think I gave 11 wins, 11 or 12 wins. I think I went with 11. I said definitely double digits, but I said 11. Everybody went with 12 or 13. My cousin Mikey said if we beat San Fran tonight, okay, we could go 14-2, thinking that the first game that we would lose would be against Houston. So ironically, we did lose to San Fran on opening night, but we beat Houston on Halloween. Um, Of course, after I believe week 5, and at one point the Jets being, I think they were 2-3. They were actually 2-1 at one point. They had New England win. They had that win against Tennessee the week prior. They fired Coach Robert Saleh. They made the defensive coach Ulbrich the head coach, obviously, and that really didn't work out. Defense really suffered after that. And they end up with a 5-12 record. Uh, a season where Aaron Rodgers started all 17 games. So we went from 7-10 last year with Zach Wilson to 5-12 this year with Aaron Rodgers. And the talk now is he done? Is he good? Is he actually playing better at the end of the season and he's good to play next year? I really don't know. And there are so many questions on this team. You had Hassan Reddick, who came in, I think the last 9 games, if I'm not mistaken, he had a half a sack all year. He is the only edge rusher in the NFL this year to not have a full sack. He has a half a sack for the entire year. You had Sauce Gardner where he was injured. He had plays where he gave up big chunks of yardage, missed tackles. He had social media, posts. It's went from a team where I really thought were gelled and ready to go to a team where, and somebody said it best early on in the year, and I can't give credit to where it is, to where it came from, but they said this is a team with a lot of talent, but it's not a talented team. Of course, Devontae Adams comes in, and it was almost like Rodgers was forcing him some of the balls that should have went to Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, kind of made his feelings known. So this team has a lot of questions. Brees Hall at times looked really good, sometimes looked really bad. Offensive line, Olu, the rookie, the first round pick from last year, looks like he could be really good. He missed the last 3 games, I believe. He went on IR with an injury, but he looks like an anchor for that offensive line. I think we just need one piece on that offensive line to be a lot better. Rodgers dealt with a lot of injuries and a lot of sacks early on in the season. He said the last 4 or 5 weeks he felt the best he's had in years. But let's be honest, even his last year in Green Bay, when he said it was just a thumb injury, he really didn't have the best of stats. So again, it leaves the Jets wondering: is he coming back? Is he not coming back? They demoted his longtime buddy and offensive coordinator from the Packers, Nathaniel Hackett. There's just so much going on. And then, of course, maybe about 5 weeks ago, Joe Douglas was asked to leave the team. So right now you have Savage, who is the interim GM. You have Ulbrich, who is the interim head coach, which they have the interim tag on him, but they have been conducting interviews. They've met with Mike Vrabel. They've met with Rex Ryan. They met yesterday with Aaron Glenn via a video interview because he is a defensive coordinator on the Lions who was in the playoffs. They met with Ron Rivera. I believe they want to meet with Josh McCown, which I really think is just a long shot. And I believe they want to meet with Brian Flores, who was the Miami coach with Tua a few years back, and is the offensive coordinator the defensive coordinator for Minnesota, I believe. So there is a lot going on. This team has a lot up in the air. I do believe that the Jets will announce their next head coach and next GM. Um, and speaking of GMs, the names don't come to me right off the bat, but they did reach out to Kansas City, Buffalo, I believe Washington, and they are using a organization to help them with the search that's run by Mike Tannenbaum, the former GM of the Jets, who was paired with Rex Ryan back in '09. He was there when they brought in Brett Favre in '08 with Mangini. Mangini has been named as our candidate for a GM as well. So, like I said, right now there's just a lot going on. Once to me it looked like when Joe Douglas left, and Joe Douglas winning record wasn't that great, but he did have some nice pickups. He did have some pickups that didn't work out for the Jets. Um, you know, Becton, who didn't work out for the Jets, but he's played really well for the Eagles. The Eagles won the NFC East, so Becton would play in the playoffs this year. I believe he's playing this weekend. Breaking news last night, speaking of the playoffs, and I hate to get off topic, but the terrible fires that are in California have forced the Rams home game against the Minnesota Vikings to go to Arizona. They will play in the stadium where the Cardinals play. So that takes place Monday night at 8 p.m. They're just showing it right now on NFL Insiders. And prayers to everybody affected by that. It's just a terrible, terrible event that's going on right now. So the Jets right now are looking for a GM and a head coach. That may turn into one or why Rodgers stays or Rodgers goes. The Patriots are going to be the Patriots, and they never end. Everybody thought it was Belichick, but I think a lot of it was Robert Kraft as well. The Jets interviewed Mike Vrabel, I want to say just before the last game of the season. Okay. He was the first interview that they conducted. He was their first interview, his first interview, I should say, that he conducted with a team. The Jets met with Ron Rivera the same week. Uh, Word came out that it went very well. Patriots go into Sunday's game with a loss. They get the number one pick. They wound up winning the game. After the game, their coach is let go. So the talk around the town is Vrabel is going to be the Patriots' new head coach. Once the Patriots saw that the Jets had the upper hand because they had the first interview with him, they released their coach. They interviewed Vrabel yesterday. I could see him being named head coach by midweek. My gut feeling, and I've said this from the beginning, uh, and I'm playing a little favoritism. I am a huge Rex fan. I think he will bring stability to the locker room. I think he'll come in, and he said it. He'll pull out, he'll stop this country club atmosphere, throwing digs at Aaron Rodgers not going to one of the OTAs when he went to Egypt or whatever. I think he is the one that is probably favored to get this job if it's not Vrabel. I think right now, if you went into Woody Johnson's office, okay, and they don't have a GM, and Vrabel and Rex both are available, I think Vrabel gets the first call and offer. Um, and I think it's just to go a different route. They both have head coaching experience. Vrabel was with one team with Tennessee. He's also an expatriate. Rex, of course, had the Jets, and then he had a 2-year stint with Buffalo. But I think it's 1A, 1 and 1A. If Vrabel is hired by the Patriots, I could see Rex Ryan being hired by the Jets by next Friday, by next week, this today. That's just the way I feel. Um, I don't know. Rex has not said he has coaches lined up. Vrabel has not really spoken to the New York media about coaches he has lined up. That is what concerns me. Who are Rex's coaches? Any head coach that comes in here, who are their coaches? Rex, we know, will have the defense spinning like a top again, but it's offense. As good as our offense looked with the ground and pound for the Rex years, it declined. We went from Sanchez that never really developed to Geno Smith that took 8 years to develop and get to Seattle. Tim Tebow was on that team. So Rex never had um, a developed quarterback. He always had a rookie quarterback. So, and he always worried about the quarterback. I think if you go in there and you have an Aaron Rodgers, uh, even a Tyrod Taylor, maybe a Justin Fields that's played games, that started games, maybe Rex is not so worried about the offense. Does Devontae Adams stay? I mean, there's so much going on in this team that at this point, like I said, January 10th, we cannot tell what's going to happen. Um, all I know is it was a season that was filled with a lot of aspirations. I can remember being at the Denver game. It was the second home game. It was the Sunday following the following. Well, 10 days later. It was the Sunday following the next home game following the New England opening night game that we had on Thursday night, and it was pouring rain, pouring, and like the first and second pass that Aaron Rodgers threw, Garrett Wilson fumbled. It was just miserable. We looked like wet dogs. We wound up leaving the game a little earlier, and I was like, listen, we have a lot of games left this year. It doesn't matter. Let's get out of the rain. They should beat this team. And got home to watch the last few minutes and watch Greg DeLay miss a field goal from 50 yards out. And everybody's like, how do you lose to Bo Nix? How do you lose to Bo Nix? Rookie quarterback. Well, Bo Nix is in the playoffs. So give a lot of credit to Sean Payton and the development of Bo Nix. Looking back on that game, I really thought at first that we lost to a team that was being poorly coached and a very wet behind the ears, no pun intended, because that Rainy game with Bo Nix. Um, Hindsight is 2020 because if you look now, I think Denver is going to give Buffalo a run for their money. Um, so listen, another year in the books for the Jets. As far as I'm concerned, the year is not over yet. The year will be over when they hire their GM and their head coach. Um, I think we'll know. I think within a week who our head coach is going to be, who our GM is going to be. Now, in a perfect world, Duncan, that's um, the GM usually hires a coach. I don't know if it's going to happen simultaneously. I'm not going to get a GM to come in. They're going to give you know him the chance to interview or re-interview who they already interviewed for the coaching position. But I think within a week, the latest 10 days, we're going to have at least one of the puzzle pieces filled, if not both. Um, how do I say this without being nasty? I listen. I watch social media. I tweet on social media, of course. With here, and from probably right before Thanksgiving on, there was a lot of complaining and bitching, and rightfully so, about the way the team was performing. And you had these people saying, "Well, I'm not re-upping my season tickets, and I'm not going to give this team another dime." Okay, listen, that is your preference. That is your right. That is whatever you want it to be. But here's the thing: if you are done with this team, if you're not going to follow this team, if you're not going to go to the games anymore, if you don't want to do anything with this team, you got to stop posting about it. You said your piece. Now move on. It's like breaking up with a boyfriend or a girlfriend. I said I'm done with you, but then keep rehashing why you're done with them. You don't want to play with. You don't want to follow this team. That is your preference. You will be missed. You have other things to do. That's fine. I myself, my family have put so much into this team and watching this team that the thought of not following them is just not even there. Do we get frustrated? Definitely, definitely get frustrated. Especially the way the season went. You know, Aaron Rodgers had, I believe, 28 touchdowns and 10 interceptions this year. 8 of those interceptions were a turning point in the game for a loss. It was 6 games. You take away those interceptions and you add 6 games, they're 11-6. They're not 5-12. But it is what it is. We love this team. We are waiting to see who's going to be hired next. Like I said, I think Vrabel is the front runner by a hair. Then you have Rex. A lot of people are for Rex. A lot of people are not for Rex. But I think the one thing Rex will do is kind of calm this locker room down. I think Vrabel will do the same. Rex knows what it's like to work for the Jets. He knows what it's like to work for Woody Johnson. I think they make a good team. And yes, the Jets have not been in the playoffs for 14 years. The first 4 years of that was with Rex Ryan after 2 years championship back-to-back um, appearance. But I think a lot of it was you pulled in Geno Smith. You pulled in Tim Tebow. Santonio Holmes, after 2 years, went back and played like Santonio Holmes in the locker room. And, things just happened. You had Idzik come in, and Idzik, somebody argued with me the other day. I said, they said something about Rex. I said, well, Idzik came in and kind of um, tarnished the 2000. He tanked for 2013 and 2014, and he goes, yeah, tanked. He goes, but they had one of the best running games and a future Pro Bowler and defensive player of the year. Well, the Jets went 8-8. Okay, you blame it all that on Rex. You blame it all. Idzik, you know, got rid of Revis. Idzik got, all these things happened under Idzik. And then they're like, well, he built it for 2015. Well, you know what? 2015, we missed the playoffs also by a game in Buffalo to Rex. So, uh, you know, it's up in the air. Listen, whoever they hire, I'm for. The only thing is my opinion, and I like Aaron Glenn. I know Aaron Glenn was a great player here. I think he's doing a phenomenal job as defensive coordinator. I don't want a hot coordinator to come in here as a first-time head coach. What I want is a head coach who's had a program put in, had a schedule put in, had his ways put in, into a locker room, his planning, his coaching, his philosophy, to use that and to also use his positives and negatives from his experience. I don't want some guy coming in on a first time trying to put together a coaching staff, trying to put together a program. The Jets are not built for that right now. Okay, the Jets and the Jet fans need to win now. And listen, if you tell me in 5 years we're going to be top of the game, I'll take it. But you're also looking at probably close to 60 years then since we've been at the top of the game. So with Rex, I believe that Rex, he has not been on the sideline since I believe it was 15 or 15 or 16. But um, I think he learned from his mistakes. I think he's evolved and knows what he did wrong and knows what he did right. And he has unfinished business here. And regardless, and I've said this from the beginning, um, he loves the Jets. His father, Buddy Ryan, was on the defensive side of the Jets coaching staff when they won the Super Bowl. It was Rex's first job. Just watch Hard Knocks. Everybody says Hard Knocks. Oh, it's that is Rex through and through. You know, he loves this team. He bleeds green and white. When he speaks to them on the radio, when he does his weeklies, he talks about us. He he was actually campaigning for this job throughout this season once Salah went. So I think uh, in my heart of hearts, Rex is going to be our head coach. Now, I would love Josh McCown to be offensive coordinator. He's done wonders with Sam Darnold. I'd love Sam Darnold to come back here from Minnesota. He has some unfinished business. But again, the coaching staff, what's put together, the offensive philosophy is all going to have a ripple effect to who our quarterback is. Does Devontae Adams stay? Does Garrett Wilson stay? I think C.J. Mosley, even though he said he's going to play small, was going to retire. I think Sauce needs to improve. I think Sauce needs to bulk up. I think Sauce needs to get back to where Sauce was 2 years ago. So now let's talk playoff. So with the new 17-game schedule, which there is word about the 18-game schedule coming out pretty soon, um, there was a realignment of the playoffs now. I don't know if this is the first year or the second year, but only the top seed in each division, um, or I should say in each conference, gets to bye. So if you're at number 2 seed, you're playing at a playoff game this year on week 1. So starting Saturday, okay, Saturday is a doubleheader of AFC. So Saturday, the early game is at 4:30. Chargers at Houston. I've seen the Jets play Houston. I don't think they are a very strong team. I like C.J. Stroud, but I just don't think they're going to get it done. Even at home, I think the Chargers win that game. Pittsburgh and Baltimore. What hurts me about Pittsburgh is the Jets went into Pittsburgh on a Sunday night, and they put in Russell Wilson on the Pittsburgh side. They benched Justin Fields, and Russell Wilson looked like crap for the first quarter and a half. And then 2 picks by Aaron Rodgers, and Russell Wilson now is in the playoffs. They're in Baltimore. I think Baltimore wins that game. On Sunday, you have Denver, Buffalo. Okay, so the first 3 games in the playoffs are going to be AFC games. Denver at Buffalo. Even though I think Buffalo's a better team, I'm rooting for Denver. I like to see Bo Nix, the new quarterback, go in there and win. So I think Buffalo will win, but I'm rooting for Denver. The late game is Green Bay at Philly. I am rooting for Green Bay, even though you have this whole thing with Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers isn't there anymore and whatnot. I mean, uh, I like Green Bay. I'm not a fan of Philly. I don't think Philly is that good. Jalen Hurts is not feeling well, coming off injuries. Mekhi Becton has a lot to say about the Jets. Bro, you're on another team in the playoffs. Worry about where you are. So I'm rooting against Philly also. So I think Green Bay wins that game. Um, then you have the third game. So you have a triple header that day. You have a 4:30, which is the NFC game, and then the other NFC game, Washington at Tampa Bay, and I think Washington wins this game. I like Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay at home, but I think Washington will have enough to win this game. They're playing on pure adrenaline now, making the playoffs for the first time in many years. Um, Monday night, like I said earlier in the video, the Vikings are at the Rams. The Vikings are a 14-3 team, okay, and they are at the Rams, which is just amazing because the Vikings didn't win the division. Um, so they lost the last game against the Lions in that last game of the season on a Sunday night. So the Vikings are on the road, but this game, because of the wildfires, are going to be played in Arizona, where the Cardinals play. Vikings, Rams, and it's the Vikings. The Rams don't have a shot at this game, I don't believe. All right, so those are the playoff predictions for Wild Card Weekend. It goes into Monday night. Prayers for everybody that's affected by the fires. I hope everybody had a wonderful New Year's. Happy, healthy, and blessed, or blessed, however you say it. Follow us if and when the Jets hire the GM and coach. We will have a video on it. We will have it tweeted. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at the Jets Takeoff is our Twitter handle. You can email us, thejetstakeoff@gmail.com. Subscribe to our videos right here. It's on YouTube. The Takeoff is the name of the account. At the Jets Takeoff is the channel. And of course, subscribe, share it. Let us know what you feel. What are your thoughts on the year? Are you sticking with the team? Are you going with the team? Listen, all I'm saying is I'm looking forward to the next announcements by the Jets with their coach and GM and moving forward and getting ready for next year. So have a great day. Have a great weekend. Have a blessed weekend. Whoever you say it, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. You're watching The Takeoff.